I'm Dr. Tactical, and the doctor will see you now. Welcome back to the channel. So, very exciting topic that I want to go through with you guys today. As you know, I've been going back and forth between my two favorite compact concealed carry guns. We've got the Staccato CS and also my CZ Shadow 2. I've done videos on both of these. Now, not only have I done videos on both of them, but I've even actually done a video where I made a decision. I actually finally decided on my choice, and I've gone back on it. So here's the thing. And by the way, those of you who are watching this and are like, wait a second, he's saying compact and he didn't say Glock 19. Let me tell you something about Glock. You know, I was at SHOT Show, and I was at the Glock booth. And well, first of all, Glock is known for their reliability, right? That's one of the big things that Glock gets kudos for. You know, modularity and ubiquitousness. Anyway, the reliability is the big one that they hang their hat on. And I'm here to tell you that I don't fully trust them. I had a catastrophic failure today. And this, again, I was at SHOT Show, and when I was there at the booth, they gave me, let me step out so we can focus here. Let's see if I can focus on that. This Glock pen. I was in the middle of writing a report today, and it went out on me. Just stopped. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, he must have limp-wristed it. No, I'm telling you, it just stopped. It was a catastrophic failure, and it was Glock's fault. Anyway, let's move on to these other guns. So, what I was getting at by saying that I had made a decision, then sort of gone back on it, is when you're talking about concealed carry is a very personal thing. And you evolve as you become a concealed carrier. I've been concealed carrying since 2015, and I have come full circle on certain holsters, on certain guns, on certain calibers. I've really been all over the place with it. And you try stuff out and you live and you learn. Now, there are, you know, some steadfast rules, but they pertain more to safety. When you're talking about safety and laws, those are not negotiable. You have to respect those two. But aside from that, when you start getting into comfort and concealability, and you know, emotionally, how you feel about the gun, all this stuff actually does matter, and it's important, and it's very personal. So what I want to show you today is what I did to optimize my Staccato my Staccato CS. See, that would solve the whole problem. If they made a Staccato CZ, I wouldn't be going back and forth. But anyway, my Staccato CS, I'm sorry, this isn't just a Staccato CS. Oh, by the way, this is the new holster I'm rocking, which I will do a review on, but I've only had it for a couple days, so it's way too early for me to comment on it. Give me some time. But it is pretty, isn't it? So I was saying, this isn't just the Staccato CS. This is for those of you who care, a safety checked and cleared Staccato CS. That's right. All right, so I have talked about going back and forth. In one of my previous videos, I made a comment over how much I enjoyed shooting this gun and how accurate it was. And using just the iron sights, how really impressed I was. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I am not going to put an optic on this gun. Not going to do it. Because the whole footprint of the gun is smaller without it. I can conceal it better. I'm fast with it. I'm just, you know, I was incredibly accurate with it, for me. I was really, really pleased with this gun with just the iron sights it had. Therefore, I made the decision not to put an optic on it. Well, you can guess how that went. So I was at the range, and when I go to the range, I always bring at least one carry gun, and sometimes only carry guns. But this time I happened to have brought my Staccato XC with me, and I was having some fun with it. And I have a red dot, or technically a green chevron, on it. And as I'm shooting it, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm just faster with this. The optic does make a difference. And the ability to focus on the target, not on the front sight, the situational awareness and everything that comes along with that really adds value and merit to rocking a optic. So I started doing my homework and looked to see what I thought was going to be the most optimal optic for the CS. This is going to happen the whole damn video. Anyway, I do love both guns. All right. So as I'm going through, I came across the SCS, Holosun SCS 320. The SCS 320 is named the 320 because it's designed to sit on the SIG 320. And the Delta Point Pro cutout that is on the SIG P320 allows this optic to sit directly on the cutout without having to utilize a plate, meaning it sits lower, and there's a lot of advantages that come with that. Guess what? The CS is also cut for the Delta Point Pro, and for that reason, it fits very nicely on the CS, and it even looks almost like it's designed for it, doesn't it? It really looks nice. The lines look nice. Everything looks good. So, and I like the idea of the SCS because it has the new improved. And by the way, the jury's still out with me on this, but from everything I've seen and read and watched, the self-regulating light in here, or emitter, as far as adapting to the ambient light and the target area light, does a very nice job. And so far, I have to say it has, but I have to try it in more circumstances before I can fully endorse it. But that was one of the features that really sort of excited me, is that it would auto-adjust. It also doesn't have a battery that you can access. Mixed feelings on that. Again, jury's still sort of out. The benefit to not having that is they can make the battery whatever shape they want. They can put it down low. They can allow the whole thing to sit low. It's got the solar panel on top, which apparently just is constantly, as soon as this thing hits the light. And that goes for incandescent bulbs and, whatever light sources you have around. It draws, and it does help to recharge the battery. So that's nice. Again, it's a fairly new optic. It doesn't have years of history, but I'm liking everything I'm hearing about it, and I got excited. So I got it. We'll get back to something about that in just a moment, though. So anyway, this one, it's a green dot, or a green MRS, multi-reticle system. So it's got the dot, it's got the circle dot, and it's got just the circle. And the reason it's green is apparently the emitter is smaller. So you got that helps with the smaller footprint that we have here on this. So I really do like the footprint. I like the fact that we have an optic on here now that I can keep both eyes open. Keep them open with the irons too, but really it's easier with this because I am focused on the target and the dot just sort of comes into play. So getting back to the reliability and questions I have with this being a new optic, I'm going to do something that I haven't done before, and I've really sort of I don't like the idea of doing this, but I think it's going to work best if I do. I wrote down some notes, and I'm going to pretty much go through them with you. So, first of all, the top of the CS, this is it with the cover plate installed over the optic cutout. So the cover plate is in place, the optic cutout is covered with this, and this is how you receive your Staccato CS. Now, this is a close-up showing how debris gets all in there. And the problem with this is the problem with an exposed emitter, which helped with my decision to go with the SCS. I wanted something that had the emitter enclosed. Although I will say that all my other guns, except for the CZ Shadow 2 Compact, have open emitters, and I love them, and I've never had a problem with them, and they're wonderful. But now that the closed emitter is becoming more popular and becoming smaller, why not? Why, look at the top of this thing. It's collecting junk, and the schmutz that gets caught in notice the schmutz around the hole and everything too, and we'll get to that in a moment as well. So here's a better illuminated one. We can see the screw holes. We can see that the back screw hole is what holds the plate, and the other one adjusts the sight, the one a little further forward. We can see that the sight sits in the optic cover plate, which means that you're going to lose those rear sights when you remove the cover plate. The optic plate, so here we see the optic plate, the rear sight removed as a unit. So this is what, once that comes off, it's off. You got, everything's gone. And this is what I was getting at before. So what I was saying is, if here we have a optic that's fairly new to the gun world, and I mean, not that Holosun isn't a reputable brand, they're great, but this particular optic is new, and now I just lost my backup sights, my rear sights. So what happens if this battery that I can't access goes out? So here we see the cover plate removed. There's, now notice when we're looking now at the gun, there's only holes. There's nothing, no protrusions or anything sticking up that will help as far as keeping the optic stable while the slide is flying back and forth. We just have this flat piece of metal that we can screw into, but we don't have any protrusions coming up for it. So this was not acceptable to me. I reached out to Holosun, I reached out to Staccato. Nobody was giving me answers that I was really comfortable with, but I have a couple Staccatos. I've got a C2, I've got the XC, and I've got my CS. So I started going through some of the other bags, and I think this came in my XC bag, and this, because they had multiple plates and ways to adapt optics to the plates, and they came with the Staccato. I'm pretty sure this was the XC this came with. And in there, I came across these stabilizing pins. These are the silver pieces that you see. So these you can just drop into the holes that you see there. That's what they're designed for. And what you have is you have a protrusion that will help as far as reciprocate when the movement's happening and stabilize the optic so that it's gonna stay zeroed and it's gonna stay put. Here you see them in the four corners, and since we don't have a plate, this is where the optic's going to go directly. And luckily, the optic does have cutouts for just such a thing to help keep it stable. And you can see how high these pins sit up. So you really are getting some significant resistance with them. All right. So here we can see the screw hole that remains after we remove the cover plate screw. So the SCS 320 does not go back that far, so it just leaves a hole there for just lint and crap to sort of just get stuck in there. Okay, so here we see the optic enjoying its new home. But here's the problem. While the optic looks good, and I'm loving the dot, and I'm loving the circle, I'm loving all the multiple reticles that this thing comes with, I'm not loving the fact that I don't have a rear optic. So we have a problem. I mean, sorry, not an optic, a rear sight. So this is a concern to me. So sure, we could add, I know a lot of you are thinking this, so probably typing it right now in the comments section. Yes, we can add an optic plate. Absolutely. We can add an optic plate to it, and that would, for all intents and purposes, that would give us a rear sight. But the problem is that undoes the whole reason I opted for this optic. Opted for optic. Because I want it as low down as possible. And those plates, as soon as you put a plate in there, it's going to elevate the optic a little bit. And here we can see how low this actually sits on the slide itself without a plate there. And that's money. I love that. And this, my friends, is where dental implants come in to save the day. Let's talk about dental implants for a moment. So what I have here is a model of a dental implant. This is not a real dental implant. When patients see this, sometimes they get a little panicked. I make sure they know this is not an actual dental implant. It is a model and it is way bigger. Anyway, a dental implant is essentially a screw. And now, when you're putting it in bone, it's a very different scenario. But the mechanics, the biomechanics of this are not all that different. So what we're looking at here is essentially a screw that has an access hole or channel inside of it. And there's actually a threaded channel down in the center of that. So we've got a screw that has a screw hole inside of it. And for dental implants, we then can take, this is called an abutment here, this piece. So the abutment screws into the dental implant. Now, in the dental implant, the bone stops here, the gum comes up to here, and then when a dentist looks in your mouth and sees this thing sticking up, it looks like a tooth that's been prepared for a crown, which is perfect because we put a crown on it. So here you have it, a dental implant. So the implant itself is essentially a screw that has a chamber inside of it for a screw to go into it. So enter a company called TacRig. Now TacRig has addressed this problem of the SCS not having a rear sight. Now I have to tell you, if a rear sight was not an option for the SCS, I would not own the SCS, or I would have to get a plate, because I'm not okay with not having some type of rear optic, or rear iron sight back there, or backup sight. Anyway, TacRig changed everything. What they did is they came out with this system called the BUDS, B-U-D-S, which stands for Backup Deck Sights. So here, what we see are the BUDS screws torqued down to hold the SCS in place. So the screws are torqued all the way down. And let's take a closer look. And if you look closer, you can see there's a screw channel or access hole in the middle of the head of the screw, just like the dental implant. So you've got a screw that has a chamber inside of it for another screw. So the screw that's holding the optic to the actual slide is hollow and threaded, and allows for the screws, the sights to be screwed in. So here, the sights sit over the screws exactly the way teeth fit over dental implants. It's brilliant. It's mechanically sound. It's a really nice idea. Now, the bad thing is they have virtually no directions that come with this product. So the buds have no directions, but it does come with a cool sticker. So there's that. But be careful, because if you're just putting it in and moving along, you know, some dumb schmuck's going to put the thing on backwards. It could happen. I'm just saying it could happen. Anyway, I will also say, if they did do it and they took it to the range, it would actually shoot really nicely and co-witness just fine. But nonetheless, it's not the way it's supposed to be. But interestingly, it works forwards and backwards. So here we see the backup deck sights installed. and and interestingly, both forwards and backwards, it co-witnesses beautifully. Really nice. So lastly, TacRig has this thing, the Staccato butt plug. Sorry, no, the Staccato rear sight hole plug. And that hole in the back that we screwed, that was left gaping open because the SCS isn't long enough to go back. It's not really even part of the cutout. But that hole from where we took the sights out is just sitting there open collecting stuff. And it's probably fine, but to the more particular of us, which by the way, is pretty much probably everybody who owns a Staccato, because if you're a schlep, you're not just buying a Staccato. You know, if you're buying a Staccato, you're probably somebody who cares about your equipment and is probably a little picky. Not everybody, but probably most. So that little gaping hole is problematic to people like me who are a little on the anal side. So anyway, anal, back to the plug. So this plug goes in and blocks the area and keeps debris from getting in it and gives it a more finished look. The issue I had that I was trying to talk to them about with the packaging is I forgot how much the butt plug, the whole plug is. I feel like it was under $5, and shipping and handling $7. And I didn't know they had it. You know, when I went on to order, I ordered the sights first because I found out about those, and the shipping and handling on that was like $24, $25, somewhere around there, and shipping and handling was $7. Then I found this whole plug, and it was like $2 or $3, $2 to $5, somewhere around there, and shipping and handling $7. It's just, you know, and most likely people are going to buy this stuff together. If I knew about them as sort of a group thing, I would have bought them that way. Anyway, and you can see on their marketing, they actually do show it in a picture with the other site, but it really is just sort of there. You get my point. The point is, buy them together because I'm guessing you're going to save on shipping and handling. All right. So here she is, and I am loving it. Absolutely loving it. So you can see the rear sight on there. It's exactly, I don't know if you can see the dot or not, but you know what a dot looks like. Anyway, bottom line, it co-witnesses nicely. This thing was, and by the way, this thing was almost zeroed out of the box. It took minimal adjusting, and I have been really, really happy with this at the range. The issues that I've had shooting-wise fall on these shoulders. That's me. So that's what I wanted to show you. This is my Staccato CS, optimized for concealed carry. I'm loving this thing right now. I'm Dr. Tactical. Dr. Tactical, out.